Good morning, Virgo. Uh, Quick acknowledgement before we dive in. Love is complicated. Real love, the kind that actually lasts, the kind that transforms you, it doesn't always announce itself clearly. Sometimes it builds in silence. Sometimes it exists in someone's heart long before it reaches their lips. And if you're here, if this title pulled you in, there's a part of you that's been sensing something. Trust that. Okay, now let's talk about what's really happening. Listen to me right now, in this exact moment. Put everything else aside because what I'm about to tell you, um, I tell you what's coming through in the energy around a specific connection in your life. What's happening in someone's internal world that you have no access to. Um, it's significant, it's real, it's deep, and it's been building for longer than you realize. Stay with me because I know you've learned to be careful. I know you've trained yourself not to read too much into things. I know you've been hurt by assuming people felt more than they actually did. So you've become cautious, measured. You wait for clear evidence before you let yourself believe someone's feelings are serious. And that's smart. That's self-protection. That's healthy boundary setting. But sometimes that caution can also blind you to what's actually there. Sometimes people feel deeply without showing it clearly. Sometimes commitment exists in someone's heart long before they find the courage to speak it out loud. And right now, there's someone in your life who's carrying feelings they haven't fully expressed yet, feelings that are bigger than what they've shown you, feelings that go deeper than the casual way they might be presenting, feelings that involve words like forever, like commitment, like building a life together. Have you been sensing something beneath the surface with someone? Let me know in the comments if this is already resonating. Because here's what I keep picking up on. There's a person, someone you know, someone you're connected to in some way, whether that's actively dating, casually seeing each other, friendship that feels like more, or even someone from your past who's been thinking about you. And this person, they've been having internal conversations you're not privy to, conversations about what you mean to them, conversations about where this could go, conversations about whether what they feel is real enough to act on or just intense enough to scare them. And in those conversations, in those quiet moments when they're honest with themselves, when the defenses drop and the truth surfaces, they're thinking about forever with you. Not in some vague, someday maybe kind of way, but in a concrete, specific, I want to build a life with this person kind of way. They're imagining scenarios, they're picturing futures, they're testing out the idea of you as their person, their partner, their permanent choice, and it feels right to them. It feels more right than anything else has felt in a long time, but they haven't told you yet. They haven't found the words. They haven't figured out how to bridge the gap between what they're feeling internally and what they're expressing externally. Does this feel possible? Does this align with energy you've been picking up? Drop a comment if you're recognizing this, because let me tell you what's actually happening inside this person right now. They're terrified, not of you, not of commitment itself, but of the vulnerability required to speak this level of feeling out loud. Because saying, I want to marry you, or I want forever with you. That's not a casual statement. That's not something you can take back easily if it's not received well. That's putting your whole heart on the table. That's risking rejection at the deepest level. That's admitting to feelings that make you completely exposed. And they're someone who doesn't do exposed easily. Maybe they've been hurt before. Maybe they've learned to protect themselves by keeping feelings contained. Maybe they've seen what happens when people are too open too soon, and they're determined not to repeat those mistakes. So they're careful, they're measured. They're showing you pieces of how they feel, but not the whole picture, because the whole picture, it's too vulnerable, too risky, too much to reveal before they're absolutely certain you feel the same way. And so they wait and watch and hope you'll give them some sign that it's safe to speak what they're actually feeling. But here's the problem with that approach: you can't read their mind. You don't know what they're not saying. You're operating on the information they're giving you, which is incomplete. So, from your perspective, they might seem uncertain, uncommitted, like they're keeping their options open or not sure what they want, when the reality is they know exactly what they want. They want you. They want this. They want to move forward in ways they haven't articulated yet. But the gap between their internal certainty and their external expression, it's creating confusion for both of you. Have you been confused about where someone actually stands with you? Let me know in the comments, because I want to describe what I'm sensing about this person's specific internal experience when they think about their future, when they imagine what they want their life to look like, when they picture themselves 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You're in that picture clearly, consistently, not as a maybe or a possibility, but as a presence they've already integrated into their vision. They think about mundane things: coming home to you, waking up next to you, making decisions together, building something that lasts. They think about big things: marriage, partnership, the kind of commitment that's witnessed and celebrated and permanent. They think about specific moments: how they might propose, what they might say, how they hope you'll react. And all of this, it's happening in their private thoughts, while externally they're being what they think is appropriately cautious, because they don't want to scare you. They don't want to come on too strong. They don't want to be the person who feels more, wants more, needs more than the other person is ready for. So they hold back. They pace themselves. They show you measured versions of feelings that are actually consuming them. And you're interpreting that measured presentation as the full truth of how they feel, when it's not even close. Does this reframe anything for you? Comment below if this is shifting your perspective. Because here's what else I'm picking up on about why they haven't said this yet. They're waiting for the right moment, the right context, the right level of security in the relationship. They don't want to blurt it out in some random moment and have it feel cheap or rushed or not special enough for the magnitude of what they're expressing. They want it to matter. They want it to land. They want the moment they tell you to be worthy of the feeling itself. And so they're not quite stalling, but definitely taking their time, making sure everything's aligned, making sure you're ready to hear it, making sure the foundation is solid enough to support this level of declaration, which makes sense from their perspective. It's thoughtful, it's intentional, it's respecting the seriousness of what they want to say. But from your perspective, it might just look like hesitation, like uncertainty, like someone who's not quite sure or not quite ready or not quite feeling what you're hoping they feel. And that misalignment, it's creating unnecessary doubt for you because you're over here questioning whether this is going anywhere, whether they're serious about you, whether you should even keep investing in this connection while they're over there planning forever, just waiting for what feels like the right moment to tell you. And neither of you knows what the other is actually experiencing. Have you been doubting someone's intentions based on incomplete information? Let me know in the comments. Because I want to talk about what not sure how to tell you actually means. It's not that they don't know the words. It's not that they can't articulate the feeling. It's that they're not sure how to say it in a way that conveys the depth without overwhelming you, in a way that expresses commitment without creating pressure, in a way that invites you into the vision without demanding you match their timeline. They're aware that feelings this big can be a lot to receive. That commitment this serious can feel intense. That declarations of forever can scare people off if the timing isn't right, and they care about you too much to risk saying it wrong. They care about this connection too much to jeopardize it by being clumsy with something this important, so they rehearse it in their head. They play out different scenarios. They imagine different ways of expressing it and try to predict how you'd respond, and none of them feel quite right yet. None of them capture what they want to convey without potential downsides. So they stay quiet, they keep feeling it privately, they keep moving toward you in actions, even while holding back the words. And they hope, they desperately hope that somehow you know anyway, that somehow you're feeling the same thing, that somehow when they finally do say it, you'll respond with, I know, me too. Does this feel like the kind of person you're dealing with? Drop a comment if this resonates. Because here's what I'm sensing about the specific words, I want to marry you. For some of you, this is literal. This person is genuinely thinking about marriage with you. They're at the stage where they're considering it seriously, maybe even planning how they might propose, definitely envisioning you as their spouse. For others of you, marry you is more metaphorical. It's about the level of commitment, not necessarily the specific legal institution. It's about wanting you permanently, exclusively, in a way that's witnessed and acknowledged and real. But either way, the sentiment is the same. This person wants you in their life long term. They're not thinking short term. They're not viewing this as casual or temporary. They're seeing you as someone they want to choose over and over again. And that's significant. That's not how most people feel about most connections. That's rare. That's the kind of feeling that when you find it, you recognize it as special, and they know it's special. They know what they feel for you isn't ordinary. They know this isn't something they could just find with anyone else, which is part of why they're being so careful about it, because when you know something is rare, you don't want to mess it up. You don't want to move too fast or too slow or in any way that might jeopardize it. You want to get it right. And sometimes that desire to get it right, it creates paralysis. Have you been frustrated by someone's cautiousness? Let me know in the comments, because I want to address what might be your biggest question right now. If they feel this strongly, why haven't they just told me? And the answer is fear. Fear that you don't feel the same way. Fear that saying it out loud makes them too vulnerable. Fear that they've misread the situation and you're not actually on the same page. Fear that telling you changes everything, and what if it changes it in the wrong direction? Because right now, there's hope, there's possibility, there's the comfort of believing you might feel the same without having to risk confirming it. But once they tell you, once they actually express this level of feeling, once they put themselves out there, that completely the ambiguity ends. And endings are scary, even when what comes next could be beautiful. So they live in the tension, the space between wanting to tell you and being afraid to tell you, the gap between feeling ready and actually being ready. And they tell themselves they're waiting for the right moment. They tell themselves they want to be sure. They tell themselves there's no rush. But underneath all those reasonable sounding explanations, it's just fear. Fear of rejection, fear of vulnerability, fear of loving someone more than feels safe, and that fear, it's keeping them quiet even though the feeling is screaming to be expressed. Does understanding this change how you see their hesitation? Comment below if this reframes things. Because here's what I want you to understand about your role in this dynamic. You can't force someone to speak before they're ready. You can't demand vulnerability from someone who's not there yet. You can't make someone tell you how they feel just because you need to hear it. But you can create safety. You can demonstrate openness. You can show through your own actions and energy that big feelings are welcome, that commitment isn't scary, that forever is something you're open to, not by chasing them, not by pressuring them, not by having the talk before they're ready, but by being consistent, by showing up as yourself, by making it clear through how you engage with them that you're someone who can handle depth, who values commitment, who isn't going to run if things get real. Because what they need to feel safe enough to tell you, it's not perfection. It's not some magical combination of circumstances. It's just the sense that you're steady, that you're present, that you're someone who won't make them regret being vulnerable. And if you are that person, if you're showing up that way already, then it's just a matter of time before they find the courage to speak what they're feeling. Have you been creating that kind of safety in your connection? Let me know in the comments, because I also want to talk about what you might be feeling while all this is happening. You might be frustrated, wishing they'd just say it already, tired of trying to read between the lines and guess what's actually happening. You might be doubtful, wondering if you're making this up in your head, questioning whether what you're sensing is real or just wishful thinking. You might be impatient, ready to move forward, ready for clarity, ready to know where you actually stand instead of existing in this ambiguous space. And all of that is valid. All of that makes sense. All of that is a normal response to being in connection with someone who feels deeply but expresses cautiously. But here's what I need you to hear. Their timeline doesn't have to be your timeline. Their readiness doesn't dictate your choices. Their hesitation doesn't mean you have to wait indefinitely. You get to have needs too. You get to require communication. You get to decide how long you're willing to exist in uncertainty before you need more clarity. And if someone's not able to give you that clarity, if they're not able to express what they're feeling in ways that feel secure for you, you're allowed to make choices based on that. You're allowed to protect your own peace. You're allowed to say, I need more than what you're currently offering. And if you can't provide that, I need to move differently. Because loving someone who's struggling to express their love, that can't be a one-way street. That can't all be on you to decode, to wait for, to create space for. At some point, they have to meet you. They have to take the risk. They have to find the courage to match your presence with their honesty. And if they don't, if they stay stuck in their fear indefinitely, then maybe what they're feeling, as real as it is, isn't enough. Because feelings without expression, without action, without the vulnerability required to turn internal experience into shared reality, that's just feelings. And you deserve more than someone's private feelings. You deserve their actual presence, their actual commitment, their actual words. Does this feel important for you to hear right now? Drop a comment if this resonates. Because here's what I'm also sensing. For some of you, this person is going to find their courage soon. They're going to reach the point where not telling you becomes more uncomfortable than the risk of telling you. And when that happens, when they finally speak it, when you finally hear the words they've been holding, it's going to feel like relief, like validation, like finally getting confirmation of something you've been sensing but couldn't quite trust. And in that moment, you'll understand why they waited. You'll see that the feeling was real all along. You'll recognize that the hesitation wasn't about not caring, but about caring too much. But for others of you, this person might stay stuck. They might not find that courage. They might continue to feel intensely while remaining unable to express it. And if that's your situation, if you're dealing with someone who can feel but can't speak, who wants forever but can't say it, then you have to decide what you're willing to live with, how long you're willing to wait, what you need in order to feel secure in moving forward. Because you can't build a life with someone's unexpressed feelings. You can only build with what they're actually willing to put on the table. So yes, they might want to marry you. They might want forever. They might be thinking all these beautiful thoughts about commitment and partnership and building a life together. But until they can actually tell you that, until they can actually show up in ways that reflect those feelings, it's just potential. And potential alone isn't enough to sustain connection. Have you been living on potential instead of reality? Let me know in the comments. Because here's what I really want you to take from this reading. Someone is feeling more for you than you've been believing. Someone is thinking about you in terms of forever, commitment, serious partnership. And that's real. That matters. That's worth acknowledging, even if it hasn't been spoken yet. But also, you deserve to know how someone feels. You deserve clarity. You deserve someone who's brave enough to match their internal experience with external expression. So if this person is real, if they're genuinely feeling what I'm sensing they're feeling, then at some point they need to tell you. They need to find the words. They need to take the risk of vulnerability. And if they don't, if they stay silent indefinitely, then maybe what they're feeling isn't actually ready for what you need. Maybe the gap between their internal certainty and their external expression is too wide to bridge right now. And that's okay. That's information that helps you make clear choices about what you're available for and what you're not. So stay open, stay present, stay available for someone to show you their truth. But don't wait indefinitely for words that might never come. Don't sacrifice your need for clarity to accommodate someone else's fear. You deserve someone who wants you and can tell you, who feels forever and can speak it, who sees marriage and can move toward it. Not just someone who thinks beautiful thoughts in private while leaving you to guess. And if this person can rise to that, beautiful. If they can't, also information, either way, you'll know what you're working with and you can make choices from there. I don't sell futures, I build architects. No predictions, just the raw truth for the tough ones. Stay magic, stay in the now. Bye.